Posterity! Vengeance!
We're running out of time. End this. What are you doing?
My queen! Take the beast! I don't have time for this! Sand! Bend to my will! Impede my enemies! Our gift to you! The Malakas will pay! We will have blood! The era of the Faradun is now! Into dust! 10,000 spears!
Stay still!
The Malakas will pay! Hey! Our gift to Yai! Urashakama! Have accomplished nothing. Oriana will prevail, and the Faradin will rule the Vaspiri!
Hey guys, Dabadoo here. Hopefully you enjoyed the gameplay footage, and that's kind of what you should expect from this build. Now, things didn't go as planned with this build. Let me tell you the problems based off of what I theory crafted and what actually is the case. So PoE gave us basically bad information on two things. The first thing is Siphoning Strike. Siphoning Strike played a really key role in my build. It was a way to gap close. It was a way to engage enemies and shock them and build up charges. Unfortunately, Siphoning Strike doesn't shock things. It doesn't say anything on the tooltip about it not shocking. However, if you slot it into your loadout, again, doesn't say anything about not shocking, but if you click this little arrow button over here to get more detailed information, it has this very, very important line that says cannot inflict shock. That would be nice to have that on that main tooltip, but hey, okay. So this probably isn't going to be used in the build. It is what it is. But let me talk about the skills that I am using and how to start off, because it seems like most of the game, at least, you're going to be on 2 sockets. I just got my first 3 socket and I stuck it on Ice Strike. I know that's a deviation from what I had planned. Okay, so let's talk about the skills that I actually picked up to start off my character. It's different than the build that I had planned. So we already talked about default attacks. I just want to point out that quarterstaffs are AoE and they benefit from concentrated effect, which is pretty cool. And it doesn't seem to actually nuke their strike AoE that much when you put it in. It just boosts their damage significantly, which is cool. So think about that. But the first skill that I would suggest you get is Glacial Cascade. It is a very great poking range skill. You can start off the game. It's a great bossing skill to use. And you can do a retreat and then shoot it at monsters while you're retreating. It's quite useful. Also, what you're going to want to get is Frozen Locust. Frozen Locust, you can get to start out. It places an ice crystal on the ground and it spreads out chilling ground around the ice crystal. So when monsters get around this, they'll be automatically chilled. And if a monster blows up the ice crystal, like if a boss walks over the ice crystal or punches the ice crystal, it will blow up the boss. It will basically act as a freeze landmine, and most likely freeze the boss or add, significant freeze threshold to the boss. And you drop it and you can shoot from behind it and blow it up, things like that. Generally you kind of want to be right next to a boss. You drop it on their face and then you strafe around them and you shoot glacial cascades. That's kind of like a bossing technique I was using. Now, what else will you be using? You'll be using Falling Thunder. Falling Thunder is what I originally planned to use, that plus Siphoning Strike, but that isn't in the cards, at least right now. Falling Thunder does hit really, really hard though, especially with power charges, and you can get it to start off the game, and it will hit like a truck, especially with those power charges. So I would suggest that as kind of like your big DPS attack skill, and I would suggest trying to use it once you generate a couple of power charges from Killing Palm. In terms of the supports for Falling Thunder, Lightning Infusion is fine to start off the game, and more attack speed is useful because it's a pretty darn slow attack. Now my character is a faster attack than some, because I'm level like 30-ish right now, but start the game, it's a 60% attack speed base, so I would strongly suggest increasing attack speed to make it feel usable. Now, Falling Thunder hits pretty good by itself. It's fine, and it does AoE, which is great, but you want to get power charges on it, and how you get power charges is Killing Palm. You get Killing Palm relatively early in the game, definitely in Act 1. And Killing Palm is great because it's a gap closer, it's initiator, charges directly to the enemy. It highlights the enemies that you can use it on, so you don't have to worry if it's usable or not in the situation you're in. They'll put like a little light above the monster's head, so you can charge in with Killing Palm, and you just target the enemy, single target Killing Palm on them. It'll kill the enemy. If it's a regular monster, it'll take off 30% of their life, and you'll get a power charge from it. It's great. Now the supports I have are Perfusion, just at the off chance it'll give you another power charge, so you get 2 for calling one monster, which is nice. And this Life Drain will just keep you kind of topped up while you're calling through a pack, while you're charging between monsters in a pack and calling them. It's a nice way to get your life back. Frost Bomb is also something that you can use. It will nuke the monster's life regen and energy shield regen, and also apply a negative cold resistance on the enemy, so your cold skills like your Glacial Cascade and Frozen Locust will hit harder. And another skill that's important to pick up as soon as you have some spirit is Ghost Stance. Ghost Stance is really great for this build because you're an evasion and energy shield build, and this just works great for it. I have, I don't know if this even works for Ghost Stance, but it was a recommended support gem for Ghost Stance, so I bought it and I put it in. That's fast forward. The concept, the idea behind that is like, maybe that 3.65 seconds is reduced in some way because of fast forward. It's not reflected on the tooltip, so I have no clue. Actually, it is reflected on the tooltip. They changed it, or maybe it was always this way and I never noticed. Anyways, so yeah, use fast forward with Ghost Dance. It's the way to do it. Okay, so those are the starting skills that you'll want to use. Okay, so let me talk about my skill tree pathing. Now, I made some changes compared to the original build video. Not a surprise. Now, I found that being tanky in this game and investing in survivability is really important, especially to start out. So instead of going this DPS route over here, I actually started from here, grabbed this stuff, and the mana regen is nice. I hate using mana flasks, so try to get as much mana regen as I can. And I also picked up these over here. I picked up this. I went this to get the stun threshold, which is really important. You can get this if you want, but I did all defense to start. And I went around here, and then I grabbed that, and then I got the extra mana regen and attack speed from here, and then I started filling some of the other things out, okay? Now, there's all these really choice notables in the monk area. It may be the best starting area. I'm not sure. But has really great notables, so you can get this too. You can mix, you can invest points and then take them out and then use those points to build out the tree elsewhere. If you're one off from getting a notable or not, you can kind of mix and match. But this is kind of where I'm at. I'm level, what am I? I am level 34. And this is what it looks like. But you start here, you go here, go here, go here. Make sure to get this and this. You go down here for more damage and just kind of fill this out. Went here for some extra movement speed as well. Came down here for some attack damage and blind. Mana regen, I was noticing even on the 2 links. You need mana regen, even as a monk. So I picked this up as well. I hate, being out of mana. So I would suggest going here, and I picked up the attack, damage, and speed notables and passive skills there. So that's what it will look like at level 30-ish, and that's what you should shoot for. So that is the starting of the game. To recap, don't forget about your default attack. It's stronger than people realize, especially if you're a Titan. Glacial Cascade is great. You'll be using it for a long time. Frozen Locust, you'll be using it to start the game off, but it's going to be replaced by a different skill, which I'll talk about in the next segment. Falling Thunder hits like a truck. You'll be using it as one of your main damage dealers once you build up some power charges from killing Palm. And then Frost Bomb is great. It synergizes with your other abilities. There's no reason not to use it. And as soon as you get 30 Spirit, Ghost Dance is the reservation skill for you. Okay, so let's talk about the skills that I'm currently using. I just beat the Act 2 boss. I just started Act 3. And this is my current gem loadout. So at the top, you got your default attack with the highest sheet DPS. I'm still using Glacial Cascade because it is an amazing poker. It's a great bossing tool. I really don't use it on mapping that much, but for bosses, I use it quite often. The only support that I have for it right now is Cold Infusion, but you can put some other supports on it if you want. Now, for the replacement of Lotus, that's the skill that we were using before that dropped a crystal on the ground to start the game, and you would hope a boss would walk over the crystal or punch the crystal, and then the crystal will blow up in the boss's face and freeze the boss. We're not using that anymore. That's kind of funky tech. Instead, we're using Wave of Frost. Wave of Frost is great because it just shoots out like a giant cone that freezes all the monsters. The supports that I have for it are Glacification and Deep Freeze. We're also still using Killing Palm. Killing Palm is a way to generate power charges. This build is still using a power charge spender. It's different. It's no longer Falling Thunder. It is instead Charge Staff, which we'll get to in a moment. But Killing Palm is still used for the same reason it was used before. Power charges and calling and charging around. Also still using Frost Bomb. But now, at this point, you should probably have it supported by Second Wind, so you can put out 2 Frost Bombs. It's better than 1. Now, also, I'm using Tempest Bell. I really like the idea of dropping a bell on people's face. And the problem is you can't really use Tempest Bell that effectively unless you have a combo-like skill, which is Ice Strike. Ice Strike is kind of my main damage dealer for the most part, actually, now. And I'm really enjoying it. Speaking of, I just got my first Jeweler's Orb, and I used it on Ice Strike. So yeah, this is kind of my main attack right now. I might change things up, to Falling Thunder and Siphoning Strike in the future once I have, more support on the passive tree and better items. Just want to point this out, because Siphoning Strike can't shock, that's a problem, right? Well, I Am the Thunder creates shock ground everywhere, and we'll probably get items and effects that also create shock ground. So maybe with using this, that can make up for the fact that Siphoning Strike doesn't shock. So it's still a possibility, but I'm trying more things out. This is, again, a work in progress build based off of a theory craft of data mined information, which some of it turned out to be wrong. Sorry, guys. But again, the build's working out okay. You can watch the gameplay footage. I'm going to release a montage video of me killing all the bosses in Act 1 and 2. You can see how this build handles the bosses. I didn't have any tweaked items. Now, I did actually get a really great item, though. I just got this. This thing's amazing. I'm level 34. My friend actually gave this to me. He's slightly higher level than me. And yeah, it's great. But everything else I found myself, it's not really great items. Like a lot of them are, oh, that's level 24. Maybe they're 24 because I've added a bunch of stuff to them, but oh, it's 18. You guys click on in and out to do it this way. Yeah, but these are the items that I'm using. And this necklace isn't the best, but it has spirit on it, which is important, which I'll get to in a moment. So, yeah, Tempest Bell. Tempest Bell is awesome. The supports that I have on it are more area of effect, and hits basically cause stun buildup because this thing lasts like for 13 hits. And, you know, you're smacking it with your freeze or you're doing that or whatever, and, you know, you're dropping it on a boss's face. It's good times. Ice Strike. So this is kind of like my main skill right now. It's my main damage dealer. I used my first Jewel Resorb on it, which I was really happy to get. It's nice to see a 3-socket in here instead of 2 sockets. So in terms of the supports for Ice Strike, I have Martial Tempo. It already has a high base attack speed, which is great. And then when you compound that with the more attack speed, that's even better, right? So it's just a very fast, goes real fast. And then that big hit at the end, you get to hit twice with it because you're using Crescendo. And then because, you know, stabs are technically AoE, you can actually stick concentrated effect in here and like super boost your damage. Like, and it doesn't affect your based on my playtesting, it doesn't really affect the AoE of that last hit. So, or not to a noticeable amount. So anyways, that's a cool little tech that I found. Now, the reservation skills that I'm using, I'm still using Ghost Dance. Again, that should be your priority reservation skill. I'm not sold on Herald of Ice. Like, it works great with my current gem setup, which is like, you know, freeze everything. But you need something with spirit in order to, by the time you're in Act 3, you're probably not going to have enough spirit unless you get it from gear, okay? So, you know, I picked an amulet. I actually had a better damage dealing amulet, a better amulet than this, but this one has spirit, and this let me run Herald of Ice, which I was excited to do. I don't have any supports for it yet. I probably put like a focused elemental damage. You know, like your things can't shock, but you do more elemental damage. That's probably going to be the support on here. Now for charge staff, this is my spender. This is my power charge spender, and this is a way to make me shoot out a bunch of projectiles and increase my DPS. The supports that I have for it are persistence and perpetual charge. Perpetual charge is so when you use it, sometimes it doesn't cost any of the power charges. What you kind of want to do is while killing monsters with, you know, freezing them and smacking them with a big giant frost stick, you're going to, you know, charge between packs and with your killing palm and gain power charges. And then what you're going to do is once you have 2 or 3, you're going to use them and you'll get a buff that'll last about 20 seconds or so. And this buff will make you shoot whenever you hit stuff. It's going to shoot out projectiles and increase your damage. So instead of, you know, your tooltip being, you know, 2,000 DPS for Ice Strike on a 3-link, it's going to be like 2,500 DPS. All right, so that's the current plan. I'm going to try to get some links to like PoBDB with an update, and you know, a new gem loadout link as well in the description. Of note, I don't believe certain skill gems are listed there. So for example, I don't think Ghost Dance is listed there. So of note, by the time you're level 30-ish, you're going to want to be using Ghost Dance. In fact, you're probably going to want to be using Ghost Dance as soon as you get, you know, the 30 spirit from that quest in Act 1. So this is your first choice. Get it. It's just not on PoBDB last time I checked. Herald of Ice would be probably maybe a second choice, or you can play around with other things. I did try Lingering Illusion. I was not really sold on it. The illusions didn't last very long, and they didn't really generate power charges, and it didn't like really improve the speed or survivability of my roll. And so I'd rather just, you know, blow up packs with Herald of Ice. It's very satisfying. Yeah, so that's the build. That's the update. I'll try to come out with one tomorrow. And I'm also planning to release a montage video of me kicking the crap out of a bunch of bosses. All right, guys, take care. Bye.